you may have heard that it is the Tokyo Auto Salon in Japan, and Subaru has done this big reveal a couple of hours ago. Information is coming out fast and furious.
The Taikyu car is super interesting because if you look at that, even JJ is at Tokyo Auto Salon right now. Okay, so the owner of IAG, and he thought it was the Concept B.
Is the engine that they put in the BRZ GT300.
Okay.
Okay.
Did you guys six-cylinder 3-liter twin turbo?
Beautiful. That's
what is happening?
Beautiful.
What is happening and why?
Hello, and thank you for tuning in to the Flatiron Syndicate Motorsports Podcast. This show is brought to you by Flatiron's Tuning, your source for any aftermarket or OEM Subaru parts. Be sure to check out our store at flatirons.tuning.com and stay tuned with Flatiron's Tuning.
All right, folks, welcome back to the Flatiron Syndicate Podcast. We are here today again with some familiar faces. We've got Art from Overtake, Dewey from IAG, Tanner, a.k.a. Smeedia. The initial intent here was to finish the conversation that my internet decided to so rudely remove me from a couple of weeks ago. But as we're recording this is Friday, January 9th, and you may have heard that it is the Tokyo Auto Salon in Japan, and Subaru has done this big reveal a couple of hours ago. Information is coming out fast and furious. It is, I honestly, where I'm sitting at it is I have more questions than we have answers, but there is a little bit of disappointing news, or maybe disappointing news about this STI reveal. But I think that's where we have to start, guys. So what have you seen? What do you think? What does it all mean?
I want to start off by saying I called this like two podcasts ago.
He did.
And when everyone was saying that Subaru's going to release it, I knew they weren't. They never do. They never listen to their audience. Never.
Okay. I don't think any of us were claiming it was going to be released at Tokyo Auto Salon. The conversation was around the Concept B.
Aside from what we were talking, here's the thing that really gets under my skin with it is you have all these automotive journalists who don't actually do any research and they make all these accusations. I saw so many posts saying that they were re-releasing the STI at Tokyo Auto Salon.
Yeah.
I'm like, Subaru never said that. It was only ever posted on Japan's Instagram page, never once the Subaru America page. So everyone's getting all this hype. Oh, they're bringing the hatchback. They're doing this concept that they just came out with. No, it's another VB. It's always a VB.
All it is a WRX TS. So
yeah, but for Japan only.
No,
just because
people realize
the
that
WRX
in Japan they haven't had a manual WRX like this entire time. So this is a big thing for them, and that's really what this was Japan gets a manual WRX, and here's a bunch of STI goodies on it.
Yeah, but why are we putting STI badges on a WRX?
Hey,
why is Subaru up badging their own cars when it's not even an STI?
Because that's a thing over there. Like that is not unusual. That is kind of.
It's not, but don't call it. It's not an STI. It's a WRX
what they're doing
with an STI
is
trim.
They're following the Nissan Nismo formula, and I totally agree with John on this.
I disagree with you on that because at least when they did Nismo stuff, they actually made the cars cool, and it wasn't just trim and
not
aero
all of
packages.
them. Have you seen the Nismo Altima that has a lip kit and some?
Cool.
Yeah, exactly. But no, it's totally a Japan thing to just throw the badge around. I honestly think maybe we've Americanized the importance of the STI or the Nismo or GTR, whatever badge, to some degree. We expect it somewhere. Where in Japan they throw it on a car 15 times.
I don't even think it's the badge. I think it's the name. Because here you had a trim model of the vehicle specifically called STI. It wasn't a WRX with an STI sport package. It was the model of the car was a WRX STI.
The thing that drives me more nuts than anything on this whole thing is how absolutely tone deaf they are to how the rest of the world was going to take this. I got to be real. They should have got out in front of this when they started doing teasers and they saw all of us over in the West losing our minds thinking this was going to be an STI, which I think everybody in this podcast here was not expecting this to be the Concept B. Okay, we all pretty much. I didn't. There's no way that concept that this is what this is going to be. I would have been floored if it was.
But here's the thing: they did reveal what the Concept B is. And that's where I am very confused.
Oh, hey, I'm hyped to talk about that, but let's stay on the we're disappointed with the STI.
That was not the STI reveal. Yeah.
My expectations were met. This is exactly what I foresaw.
What you thought it was going to be, and I think most of us didn't think Subaru was going to be releasing anything other than maybe another, like, here's another look at the Concept B, and we have, like, but when they showed it was a VB, I think all of us knew this was going to be a trim level thing. But man, did the non-informed Subaru, non-informed of Subaru's history, marketing, and journalism take over and like run this in a I think
I want to run a hypothetical by you guys.
I think it got blown out of proportion.
If all this media started landing yesterday,
and why would you do that? What, 2 weeks? 3 weeks?
I wish I had a mute
button. You got the entire internet hyped?
I wish I had a Dewey mute button on my keyboard. Sometimes.
I lost everybody.
No. I don't think.
Okay.
Dewey!
Bye,
You're
Dewey.
Okay.
Oh, no.
Oh, no.
Can you guys still hear me?
Yeah.
Because I need to make this point. Or actually pose a question to you guys.
I think Dewey
I don't think
banging the counter shook something loose on his end.
But if we can rewind in time and all the media comes out and what we see is what we got presented, but with matched flares, with some sort of STI style spoiler, with the Brembos that they had on there and the lip kit, and then they popped the hood and it had some modifications and maybe even a power figure of 290, 300 plus, and they called that the STI. Would we be saying something different today, or would we still be disappointed?
I would be calling Subaru. I think Subaru should be disappointed because that's absolutely embarrassing. Mm-hmm. You have had since 2022. It has been 4+ years for these guys, and they have not been able to differentiate a hypothetical STI far enough away from a WRX where it would make sense for even WRX owners nowadays to upgrade to an STI. There is not, and even if they just put an STI transmission in there, it still wouldn't make sense. The average enthusiast can go out, buy a used WRX for $25K, buy an STI 6-speed out of a VA STI for $5,000, swap it themselves, have the exact same thing that Subaru would have came out with for $20,000 to $25,000 cheaper. I don't think that even if Subaru hypothetically would have came out with this quote-unquote STI with even the STI bits, that it would have even made sense at this point. There needs to be a further differentiation. I mean, go back, look at GDs, GRs, any of the historic WRXs and STIs. There was always a clear differentiation between the WRX and the STI. Power, drivetrain, interior, exterior, there has always been differentiation, and there's no way they're going to get back to that unless I think they completely come out with a new model.
Which is what they're going to do.
Right.
Yeah, well, exactly.
So now
I just would hope that if they would have offered...
Even that power figure that you threw out there is embarrassing for Subaru compared to their competitors right now. Well, under 300 horsepower?
It's just so sad that you go back to 2004 when they had 305.
Toyota's doing it with a 3-cylinder.
Yeah, but
now
I think,
a 4.
I think we got to pull back just a skosh. It's like from the Japanese market standpoint, knowing that they haven't had a WRX that's been manual, they've not had a WRX that has like the Brembos or any of those kinds of things. For the Japanese market, for them to bring over the TS that we've had, like, because they never got the TR either. So for them,
the closest was the S4, right? That had Brembo package, but that was all auto.
Yeah, it was CVT.
Well, yeah. I mean, I can see where they would call this an STI for that market potentially, because again, there's a different connection to the brand of STI in Japan compared to here.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I think it's like STI Light, which is where TS here would make more sense there. It's just like they're sparking a lot of confusion by actually calling it an STI, even though it's the WRX TS that we got.
Have they done by doing this so close to that?
According to the comments that I've been reading through all day long, a ton of damage. There's hardly a positive comment. Yeah,
it's so.
And we're talking Yeah. I would say tens of thousands of negative bits of comment, and that sort of shapes the narrative for what Subaru is in 2026. If you start off in the first weeks of 26 with such negativity, it does carry over into the year.
I think they should have just called it a WRX TR for Japan.
They
call it a TR.
Or
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, going back, I know we just talked about this, how STI has a different meaning in Japan than it does the US. But
they should have been aware of what they were doing.
Why are we putting an STI badge on it when, I mean, they have like the Vorg STIs and whatnot, so I guess, I mean, for their culture, I can see how it fits, but the perspective from everywhere else in the world shines a bad light on it.
Yeah, we're all pissed.
To defend
I'm not
Subaru,
pissed. This met my expectations.
And to defend Subaru slightly, like in the release leading up to Tokyo Auto Salon, they said that they were coming out with STI trim packages for the S4 WRX, the Lavorg, and the Impreza, and that's literally what they did. And really, the biggest difference for what they're calling the STI is the fact that it's manual transmission, which is new for them, and like it's the TS package with the suspension and the brakes. Tone deaf. Yeah, I think they missed that, but it's like they did do what they said that they were going to do. It's just the way that they presented it, it shaped it in a way that we all thought or hoped that what this was going to be was actually something more related to these STI concepts and whatnot, which was obviously not the case.
I'm just saying they can keep their quote unquote STI. Just bring me the Lavorg. That's all I want. That's all I want.
Yeah, love a Lavorg here.
Keep your STI.
Be sick.
Would you still drive it here if it was CVT?
I can swap it. That's not a big deal.
It'd be a sick daily.
It would. I've said this before. In Japan, I totally understand. And if I lived there, I think my daily driver would be a CVT Lavorg STI. I mean, if I had that option of manual, sure.
If you were going to be driving, yeah.
Right, but for the type of commuting they do and how dense Tokyo is and just the surrounding areas, like that's a great car.
That is fair. I mean, considering the fact all of my daily drivers are automatic. My M3 is an automatic, my Tacoma is an automatic, and I daily both of those. So I mean, I probably wouldn't have an issue with them. I'm just not a huge fan of CVTs.
No, and if you were able to have that CVT modern Lavorg, your fun car might be a 97 GC STI or something that you take out to the track on the weekend. So you could have both. But yes, I so wish we got the Lavorg here stateside.
Yep.
And in that yellow color they showed.
Yep.
I actually really liked that.
Sharp.
I thought that looked good. For like a wagon, I don't like it as much on the sedan, but it works on the wagon.
Just bring back Java Black Pearl. Put that on a Lavorg. Give us that.
Can we talk about the Super Taikyu car yet?
I think that's where we need to.
I think we've got it. Like as much as this is probably going to be the lion's share of the discussion on a lot of the internets, like that this is small potatoes compared to the Super Taikyu car and the BRZ GT300. And I don't know what the heck is going on.
Well, I think
Dewey.
The Taikyu car is super interesting because if you look at that, even JJ is at Tokyo Auto Salon right now. Okay, so the owner of IAG, and he thought it was the Concept B. Okay, that car looks like the Concept B with a different front bumper. That's what it looks like. And if you look under the hood of that thing, there's some interesting pieces. And the big piece that's super interesting is
intake manifold.
A cast red intake manifold, and that is not something you make a one-off of.
Exactly.
There is if you look under the glitz and glamour of car reveals and all of this shit, and you start looking at the details, a lot actually got released. That Super Taikyu car looks like the Concept B. Like there's already been you cannot tell me that's not a development mule.
And Subaru's information says that it is basically based on the STI Concept B.
Whoever filmed this video that you sent, Dewey, they give him a gimbal or something.
Oh, I agree. Yeah.
well,
John, in that little press article too, they alluded to this is a future test bed vehicle. I forget how they phrased it, but it definitely said like this is what we're going to be using to develop the next generation.
Well, and here's the crazy thing too: the first Super Taikyu race is in March. It's 2 months away.
Yes.
So what here's my guess is that what we saw as the Concept B in October is like they're probably developing a couple of shells. It's possible that they're racing multiple cars, but I think what we saw is either like a backup shell or something like that of the Super Taikyu car, and now they're releasing the Super Taikyu car, and we see it, and like the fact that they had the hood open, and there's all sorts of pictures and images and videos coming out about it.
They want people to look at that, and I think they should have put a little more emphasis on. They should have just flat out said, "Look, we're trying to race a prototype here, so we are giving you the best product we can for the next generation STI." And I think they tried to allude to that, but the headlines were all looking at this STI that wasn't an STI.
So I've got a marketing take on this because we started this discussion around the theme of what is like the state of marketing at Subaru and what do we think about that. I think there's a huge miss or something they could have done differently. What if they released the Super Taikyu car back at the Tokyo or the motor Japan Motor Mobility Show?
Yeah.
It said, hey, this is the race car that's coming for 2026. Check it out. It's a hatchback. Then everyone would have said, well, this is really cool, but you know, outside of the race series, there's not a whole lot we can do with this. Then fast forward to Tokyo Auto Salon, and they revealed the Concept B there as a production-looking car. That would have blown up.
Here's why I'm so confused: is the release order. Why did they release a Concept B, like an STI Concept B first? There was that they said was a concept car, but like what got us all excited is that like, hey, this is a rolling driving car. This is clearly like an Impreza shell that they have modified, like kind of a la the GR Corolla. Like this is something that they would be very doable. Now knowing what we know makes total sense because this is the race car that they built. Of course it's doable because they're actually doing it. But why release it as a concept first and then reveal it as the Super Taikyu car? Why not just, like to your point, Art, say it's the Super Taikyu car the whole time, all along? Because honestly, to me, I think what this means is that I feel like it's less likely now that there's going to be a combustion STI or anything like this Concept B that's actually a production car because it's the Super Taikyu car. And I can get into.
I have a different takeaway.
Yeah,
I thought it was reinforcing.
Yeah. I really do.
Dewey,
because
you can comment on
I
it.
see them using this Taikyu car as a test bed. I see them using this to try to run their new STI engine into the dirt to see where it breaks before they release it to us nut jobs over in the US. I actually like of everything that I saw.
Wait a minute. What are you talking about? New engine? It's an FA24.
It's an FA24 with goodies. We don't know what's going on.
We don't know what's in there.
Exactly.
This looks almost identical.
The thing
but you don't know what's inside.
The only difference I see is a cast manifold. I still see no port injection.
We are getting port injection. Don't hold your breath. I'm going to tell you.
I'm looking at the manifold. There is no port injection on
it. We're not getting port injection on the STI. I'm sorry. I wish we were.
I want it.
I know I want it. Do, but it ain't happening.
I want to talk to the manager.
The manager of Super.
Yes.
Tanner, you noted this earlier in the conversation that the STI reveal was such a disappointment because there wasn't anything new or proprietary. I think this engine is something newer and more proprietary if they release it with, let's say, upgraded internals, let's say cast manifold, and then like a handful of other things that things we don't see. And then we hit your 300 or 315 or, God forbid, 330 horsepower out of this STI.
It will still forever be plagued with the only being direct injection. It is the biggest Achilles heel of this engine.
Up until 400 horsepower, but Subaru's not creating this for the 500, 600, 700 horsepower yet.
Use the port injection to clean the valves, better fuel economy. There's so many benefits.
I'm with you, but the reality of it is, unless Toyota's involved with it's not happening.
You could put the strongest rods and pistons in an FA24. It does not mean it's going to make the engine any better.
All right, now hold on. So I said I am more confused coming out of this than I went into it. And so the other big reason that I am confused, relevant to this conversation, is the engine that they put in the BRZ GT300.
Okay.
Did you guys six-cylinder, 3-liter twin turbo?
Beautiful. That's
what is happening?
Beautiful.
What is happening And why? So, like, because there's all this talk about like STI and power and stuff like that. Why did they put a twin turbo 3-liter 6-cylinder in the BRZ GT300?
Because they're smart.
To win.
Yeah.
To win.
Yeah, and to win.
But what
for
is it
sure.
based off?
Yeah, what is it? Who knows?
So we've been cranking the Google Translate here, and there's a point where they say that it is so they had reliability issues with the EJ20. In the 2025 season, the GT300 car DNF'd on 2 races. I think they were in the lead of the race and in second place in the race, and the engine failed. And that was what really prompted them to look at developing a new engine, because I think they would have won the championship again if they didn't have the mechanical DNFs. And so what they're saying, based on our Google Translate, is that that's why they wanted the 6-cylinder turbo, because then they could make more power without stressing the engine as much, to improve reliability. And they were the EJ20 that they were using was based on the WRC engine, so it's like decades old technology at this point. So it's something that's newer. But then they said that it's basically it's at one point Google Translate said it's based on the EG33, which I don't know if that's the case.
Engine.
But what they said is that it's like an EJ20 with 2 more cylinders.
That's
Okay.
EG33.
That would be an EG33. That's what that would be.
Well, but here's the even weirder part. The 2 turbos are sitting right on top of the engine, and so it's like a hot H,
B, but it's a hot flat.
Hot H. Yep.
That sounds like a coffee order.
See, whatever Subaru is doing with this thing, they need to do with everything else.
Well, and so here's the thing: we can't figure out how the air gets into the engine. You can see the turbos.
Is there a picture of this somewhere?
There's a ton of pictures of it. I don't think I can pull it up here. So you can see that the inlet, the turbos, the outlet, the 2 big pipes that are coming down the front of the engine.
Okay,
that's the compressor outlet for the turbos. It looks like, with all the heat shielding, it looks like they've flipped it around so that the exhaust is on top, and so that basically the turbo's sitting right on the head, and that's what's driving the turbo, so that the air we think is going in from the bottom, which kind of maybe it makes sense.
I
mean, that's how hot V's work. So like,
right.
I mean, it looks like it comes in through the front bumper. Yeah, it looks like it comes in through the front bumper, going up into it, and then coming out.
So then the other weird wonder that I have is I mean, it seems like the exhaust, the turbo's sitting on top of the heads, and that's the exhaust, and so the air inlet would be on the bottom. And obviously, we're not going to see the intake manifold or whatever the intake manifold is. But long and the short of it is, there's some crazy shenanigans going on with this engine, and it's kind of like what people have wanted. And back to your point about like testing a power plant. Like in GT300, I mean, they're going to be stress testing this thing.
So I don't know how accurate this article is, but it says at the Tokyo Auto Salon on Friday, Subaru announced that its number 61 Subaru BRZ will be powered by a 3-liter twin-turbo flat-6 engine developed out of the EG33 unit used in the SVX Coupe in the 90s.
Which, I mean,
bro, maybe, Subaru, if you guys need any notes. I don't got any good ones.
But I mean, what if let's say they use that, they've got the bottom end figured out and whatever, and what if they just made a custom head? Would they?
Could.
It wouldn't be that unheard of.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and so thinking of again, this is where I confuse myself. So I think about the GT300 BRZ and then the Super Taikyu car. So now the GT300 BRZ has always been a race car. There's never been a whisper of it being anything other than this bespoke race car. It ties back to the was it the B4 Legacy that was running in Super GT before the BRZ. It was always a tube chassis, totally custom race car that was like, you can tell like they want to compete in the series and they want something that is a BRZ shaped object to market, the BRZ, and that makes sense.
Sure.
So now, and it's running their engine, which also like longer. Yeah, going back more, it makes sense. And like heck, if you got a pile of WRC engines that you're like, I don't know what we're going to do with this. Oh, what about GT300? Like, oh yeah, that makes sense. So that all those pieces of the puzzle fit together. But then to now put this engine in it, it's like, why? I don't think Subaru would design this level of a custom engine that is this far off without at least having some thoughts of what could we put this engine in.
I don't think
maybe?
so. I don't think so. I think that they took one of their old engines, made a couple changes, stuck it in there.
I think it's a quick means to an end, and I think they probably went, if we have more displacement, it's going to be a little easier on the engine, and then they're trying to figure out how to make the packaging work. And I bet you it's one of their engineers probably works on the team, came up with this cracked ass idea. And this is I
give that man a gold star.
That is a custom head.
And I also see this as a point where the marketing of Subaru stops. In other words, they're focused on engineering and racing and winning, and they don't care.
Marketing. This is marketing straight to me and other EG33 enthusiasts, our small little group of people. Okay. Bro, this is fantastic.
Well, I mean,
if they win with this car, the marketing for the BRZ platform is great, but for what's underneath it, like they don't even need to bother popping the hood or having a look underneath this car. It doesn't matter what it's running. It's just winning. So you see Subaru on the podium, but they're not trying to advertise a certain engine or try to get you to buy the production car with that engine in it. So I agree with Dewey. I don't think this platform will lead to anything production-wise in the future. It's just they threw together what they thought was the best setup from what they had to run the race. And it is. It seems like it is.
Some of the coolest stuff that we have in our community came out of like crazy, I wouldn't call them one-off, but just wild ideas that Subaru had. I mean, look at like Carberry's ROM. That's derived from the Group N ROM that they used to run in the, on the 16-bit ECUs that allowed the stock ECU in Group N to do all sorts of crazy stuff. Like we got a lot of stuff from Subaru racing things. It might be one of those things that a few years down the road, somebody in the community happens to get a hold of those heads and figures out how to reverse engineer them. And maybe we got H6s flying around all over the place again. And Tanner's on the bleeding edge of, we were all wrong and we can kiss his feet.
I will say an H6 twin turbo setup on somebody's build is probably the coolest thing you can see under the hood.
Oh yeah, sure. It's still super sick. Yeah.
Yeah. To me, that's way more appealing than somebody throwing a Ferrari engine in an old Impreza. Like we saw it.
I would love for them to start doing this EG33 stuff again. If they started reproducing gaskets and seals, this is slightly off topic, but this would be phenomenal because I bought out every gasket and seal that Subaru had for EG33 stuff in the country, and I've got a giant bin full of them in my shop. So, if they started remaking some of this stuff, even if they're just doing it for the BRZ, phenomenal. Phenomenal.
This goes back to what the conversation we had, and I guess it would be considered part one of this, that there needs to be a heritage program. There needs to be.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, there's no question that Subaru needs. I hope they're listening. I hope they're paying attention. You've got such devoted people that want to keep these cars going. You've got to help them by producing these critical pieces so that they can keep the cars going.
And it would make some of their marketing make more sense of them using, a GL wagon and a Brat and, whatever else they're going to be doing. Like that marketing starts to make way more sense.
It'd be perfect. I guarantee you they still have most of the tooling for this stuff somewhere
I'm sure
in a warehouse or something.
Yeah, it's in some bin in some back weird alley in nowhere, Japan.
So, like from a marketing standpoint, it is what they're doing with the Taikyu car and the GT300 BRZ. Like, how similar would it be to what the crazy stuff that they're doing with Vermont Sports Car over here with the Huckster, the Brattaroo? I mean, it's
the GT300. I don't think is going to. It looks like a BRZ, and I think some of the chassis itself has to stay a certain percentage BRZ, or is it?
I think it's 100? Like headlights and taillights. And
okay,
maybe the
so like it's got almost nothing to do with it, So that would be really comparable. Okay, but Taikyu, that is very production based, and that's why that car got me really hyped. I saw that and I'm like, yo, go get close up pictures of that. Screw this STI thing. Go look at that.
Yeah, yeah. And it's and the Taikyu racing, it's endurance racing. It's not like 30 laps or something like that. Like they're running for multiple hours. Usually there's a driver change. That would really vet, whatever they're doing with the engine that's in that car. If it's going to be fast and if it's going to be reliable, that would be a real proof of concept for whatever power plant that is and drivetrain that is.
Exactly. And I mean, that coincides with the marketing of it, because if they were smart, they would start hinting slowly but surely like feeding it into, if their overall plan is to make this into a production car eventually, and this is the test bed, they want people to come along for the journey over the next year and a half or two. And so we'll see if they do that. I think it would be a huge miss if this is the last time that we all kind of collectively talked about it, that we didn't hear anything, and 2 years later we have the concept B production reveal. Like, they really need to tease up into this and get people interested, maybe in the race series, the development process, and just take them on the journey with them.
Well, so how much? So there was 3 different press releases last night. So the first 2 of them were both like 15-minute presentations. The first one is the one where they revealed the STI, which is the WRX TS, but then the third one was like 4 hours long. Have you guys looked at all at the 4-hour press release? So what's fascinating about that one is they brought like a lot of the team, the engineers, the mechanics, the drivers from the Super GT series for Subaru out, talked to them at great length. That's where a lot of this information about the new engine for the BRZ GT300 was. They brought out the team about the Nürburgring WRX, and they had a long conversation with those guys and the premise of that. You know, the fact that at Tokyo Auto Salon in Subaru's press release, they're doing such a big presentation of the racing effort for both of those cars, I think is huge. I would hope that they, and I would assume that they're going to continue doing that with the Super Taikyu. I mean, that's, to your point, Art, I mean, that is them really investing in and showcasing what they're doing with their racing effort, which fits with their STI performance part of the brand, you know, compared to the adventure side.
The thing that I'm kind of worried about is maybe Subaru thinks that by putting emphasis on the racing series, they're connecting with the Enthusiast, but I still think there's a huge disconnect. I mean, the way we started this conversation off, we all agree they're disconnected from it. So there may be an ignorance component to this where they think they're on the pulse of the Enthusiast and they're actually so far away that they're not delivering what we're all asking for.
Or just not connected, not connected to the degree that they maybe have the sense that they are.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you guys. How do you think this new STI that they just released, and granted it is for Japan only, do you think it'll affect WRX sales continually? Because I keep seeing more stuff about how WRX sales are flatlining, they're falling, they're continuing to drop. I'm looking at Subaru USI's website right now, and it says that it's an outstanding value at $37,750 for a 2025 WRX base.
Yeah.
Do you think this new reveal, or do you continue to see sales numbers just keep going down?
I don't think it's going to affect anything in the U.S.
Yeah,
I bet you it's
but here's
a bit
the
of a
interesting
tech
thing.
for what the Japanese market's down for.
For December, after post price increase from the tariffs, December was the best sales month for the WRX for 2025. They did 1,200 cars in December. They were still shy of 10,000 WRXs for the year to date. But if it wouldn't have been for the 1,200 cars sold, they might not have even crossed 9,000 for the year. So there is an uptick, but I don't know what is that because they're discounting 2025s.
I mean, they're doing 0% financing right now on these things.
Yeah, which is that's not nothing.
Here's a total guess, but I'm gonna just put this on video. I think the Sharp STI, before I even say this, they called it a prototype, by the way, right?
Yeah.
They didn't actually introduce this car, which I found even weirder because what did you put a lip kit on it in Brembos and it's still a prototype? What are you waiting for?
What are you prototyping?
What are you
already
prototyping?
exists?
And it's been on sale over here for a year.
Yeah,
exactly. So here's kind of what I'm getting at is I think it's going to be a flop in Japan. That's my prediction because their market is not there for expensive performance cars like that. I think the market is more towards automatics than they are manual. Like if you're buying a manual car, you're going to be using it for your weekends, not for everyday commuting. And so this kind of goes back to the Lavore conversation is if I lived in Japan and you presented me the STI Sharp and you presented me a Lavore STI trim, I would have to go for that because of the daily use case of it. So you really need to be affluent enough and enthusiastic enough to be able to afford the STI as a weekend car, and just that doesn't fit with the Japanese economy right now.
Okay, so I'd mentioned this coming into this. There's what's been keeping me up at night to a certain extent is the current state of like the performance car enthusiast here in the States. And it's because one, I think there's a lot of car enthusiasts, but it's really getting fractured as far as what people want to do with their cars or why they're interested to begin with. But there's also a really big gap between the cars that are available to most of us mere mortals and the cars that are kind of held up as the halo cars and the cars that are talked about and really get all of the attention. And the cars that are available here to most of us, I'm thinking here like 50,000 and below, which, I mean, WRX, GR Corolla, Miata, BRZ.
We're talking brand new, right?
Correct. Okay. Well, because these are the cars that are still in production. So like you can go back to older cars, or used cars to get the price point down. But as far as what is currently being sold by manufacturers and what's currently available, there's just not that much option, and there's not that much price point. Most of them are very close to that $40,000 to $50,000 price point.
Well, and traditionally cars that fell under that don't anymore. The 400Z is 50 plus. The Supra is 50 plus. So a lot of those enthusiasts don't even consider those as cars they could get into. But shouldn't that mean that Subaru sales go up because it is still an affordable tuning option?
Well, but so this is the whole performance versus price conundrum that I think what we've seen with the price change that they had to do with the tariff increase has shown that like that $2,000 price point change on the WRX completely knocked the legs out from under it. 22, 23, 24 sales were reasonably steady for the WRX up until 2025 when they had to, do the price correction. And the other wonder is, could it be a production issue? Where I'm going with this relevant to this conversation is Subaru aware of this at all? I mean, there's definitely a demand for, say, a $50,000 to $60,000 car that really offers a ton of performance value at that price point. But you go above that, and it's a whole different demographic, and the demands are way different. And there's a ton of competition up there because now you're getting into the RS3, start getting into the Porsche market, BMWs. Most of the M cars, they're $90,000, $100,000 plus. So they're most of them way beyond this. So there's this big gap, and I think in part because of this gap, this is what's really there's a lot of people that are just not as interested in performance anymore. There's a lot of collector culture. There's a lot of people that are, I don't know, as far as performance goes.
I think we talked about this not too long ago too. I keep seeing this video come up from you guys with Art and all of us, where the vast majority of us nowadays don't care too much for a newer performance car. We prefer the older ones,
Bingo.
late 2000s, mid 2000s, where if we are building a car, or even if we're taking a car out on the weekend, we're not going to go out and buy a 2025, 2026 car. We're going to use that as an A to B to go to and from work. But when it comes to the enthusiast side, you're going to buy something a little bit older. The barrier of entry is cheaper. The cars, there's way more aftermarket parts and way more support for them. They're more connected drivers feeling cars, might be. You don't have as much tech. You don't have all these computer screens everywhere, a tablet in front of you. So I don't think it's so much enthusiasts just not wanting to go out and buy newer cars. I think they're just using them for a different purpose.
This is boomers in the 90s talking about, I'm just going to build a 60s
muscle
car.
cars and stuff.
Yeah,
We're doing
exactly.
the same thing. And it happened for different reasons for them. They didn't want to deal with fuel injection and stuff like that.
Yeah.
For us, it literally is cost. It comes down flat to cost. And there's really nothing that's compelling.
There's nothing that's worth 50 to 60,000 in my opinion, if I'm going to buy something new.
A 350 horsepower properly put together STI would make me think about that. But I don't think that your typical enthusiast is still gonna. There's
no new cars that I'm excited to go buy. There's nothing out there that I'd be like, I really want to go buy.
Nothing that makes me want this.
Corolla GR for me. Honestly.
I had a bad experience with that one.
I know you did, but let's say the updated version with the 4-cylinder, and also a car we didn't get here, but the Yaris, and they keep introducing different upgraded versions of it. They just dropped, I forget what it's called. It's the RR race version, and The only downside is it's auto. But it has all the rest of the cool goodies. Like the aero package is awesome. It's got carbon everywhere. The brakes are huge.
It's that and a BRZ.
I'd love it.
Like, and the BRZ is great, but past that, like that and the BRZ, for an enthusiast level, there's nothing else out there now.
Yeah, but see, the issue with the BRZ, for what I feel like most enthusiasts, if you have one car, a BRZ is a small vehicle to try to do everyday life stuff. If you're moving things,
agree.
if you got pets.
I 100%
so
agree.
That one kind of rules
the
out.
BRZ's gone. Okay, unless
hardcore,
it's your second car.
Hardcore people, I know a few people
They can
that
make it work.
have that, but it's like, if you've got kids or dogs or kids and dogs, like that is not an ideal vehicle.
I agree, and that's why the STI always filled that gap. I think there is an area in the market for an STI right now. It has to be done right.
Yes, and that's the point.
We're back at this conversation again. I truly think they're tone deaf as to what's going on.
I mean,
well, and I think Subaru, like if they're going to be successful, they have to be aware of this gap and this mismatch where there's just so few choices for most of us that want to buy a car. But if they could fill that gap, I think that's where they have a chance for big success.
I don't think we need to convince Subaru of America this. I think we need to convince Subaru of Japan this.
Well, Subaru of America has no say in it. They just sell the cars.
The problem is I think Subaru of America maybe even sees this, and we're all pissed off about it, and they're doing what they can to try to fix this problem by throwing money at Vermont Sports Car to go do cool stuff and whatever, but they're doing the best with what the hand that they've been dealt to try to make this work for the enthusiast, but I don't think Subaru.
I just don't think they care. Subaru doesn't make that much money off their performance cars compared to their general consumer A to B cars. At the end of the day, I just don't think they care.
That's why I kind of you look at Toyota and you see the
in my opinion, Subaru's doing what Toyota did.
Race. That man wants to race, and it's so cool to see. And I do not think that same passion is in the upper management of.
No, I think Subaru's doing what Toyota did in like 2008, where they're starting to move away from their performance stuff and just focus on like hybrids, A to Bs, and they're just going to do their boring stuff. They might have a performance car here and there. They're not going to change much on it. Who knows? Maybe they'll discontinue it and come back out with it 10 years later, like Toyota did. But that kind of seems like that's what Subaru's doing right now.
But the counter to that point, Tanner, is like what they've been saying in both the Japan Mobility Show and Tokyo Auto Salon is that the two focuses of Subaru brand is performance and adventure now.
But they're not really doing anything performance for the consumer base.
Right.
From the perspective of the Japanese market, though, they are, because they got the 6-speed manual. Like, it would have been really easy for Subaru not to ever deliver that to them.
They already had everything. They could have done that years ago. If the market demanded it in Japan, they could have done that years ago.
Maybe didn't. And if we're getting their market to shift, maybe we can get them to shift. Honestly, we should all pray that this STI thing that they're talking about releasing is a banger over there. Then they sell a shitload of them, because it'll probably bode well for us.
So this is a question I was going to pose to you guys: is do you think? Okay, I don't know why the American enthusiast got excited about this. I know between the four of us, we didn't really. If you think about it, it's a reveal in Tokyo at the Tokyo Auto Salon for what they told us was a Japanese-only model. So they got sort of what they wished for, let's say. Now, we're sitting over here stateside wishing for something else. Is there still an opportunity for us to get something? Just because Japan got this thing, do you think won't get something?
I have no hope for Subaru anymore. I have zero expectations.
I really, truly think that nothing has really changed. It's just there's going to be a lot of people who perceive Subaru just kind of like baited them along for something that has nothing to do with them. That's a Japanese market thing. But I don't think anything's changed. I think Subaru, from a world market, the Concept B is kind of what I still think they're trying to push towards that. And proof in that is that Taikyu car, that they're developing something with that.
Between today and release of Concept B, let's say in 2 years, could you see an STI badged WRX TS here
in the States.
with a big wing and match?
Not because it's
play
because
this clip when they put it out, because I think it's coming.
Subaru of America is smart enough to say no. The marketing doesn't work here to do that. You will destroy whatever momentum we have going into this new car if you do that.
So
but what if there's radio silence for 2 years?
I think some people actually would buy it if they did that just solely based off the badge, but I do not think
there's going to be radio silence. Just due to the fact they're literally going to be racing that Taikyu car. Like it's gonna create its own. Now that enough of us have seen that, you're going to have me talking about it. You're going to have John talking about it. You know, the right people are going to hear this, and there's going to be grumblings. Okay,
so. But I think it's significant that we got the TS first compared to the Japanese market, because the U.S. is the biggest market for Subaru now by a long shot.
Yeah.
And I think what has happened, and I think maybe it started with the S209, is that the U.S. market has gotten so big, and the enthusiast base is now, I think for a long time, like the reason we got the WRX first and we didn't get the STI for a couple of years is because Japan didn't think that the American enthusiast base knew what it was, that there was demand there. I mean, that's why we didn't get a turbocharged WRX or STI for so many years when they existed in Japan. Then they thought, well, okay, maybe the American market is ready for it. The WRX comes over, it's a home run. They sold out production for the first 2 model years. That's when we got the STI, and then that's kind of where we continued up until very recently. But the fact that we're getting the TS before the Japanese market, and I feel like there's a significance there that they're now maybe prioritizing the American market because maybe they now see that the American enthusiast group is much more aware, much more keyed in. I mean, heck, we're sitting here, we're talking about Super Taikyu, GT300. There's more people in the U.S. that are focusing on these race series that they're doing over in Japan. Maybe they think that now we're ready, and so maybe they're going to like prioritize the U.S. market more. I think that's our best hope, that we're going to get something like the Concept B because of so much interest from the U.S. market in that concept.
I disagree. I disagree because I think that culturally, Subaru will hold the STI for their Japanese market initially because it means more to them to keep it on the homebound. I think that culturally they will keep it there versus sales numbers or anything to test it in Japan before giving it to the US. If they did something vastly different, if they just came out and they did like this Concept B, I think that they would release it in the US and Japan at the same time.
But isn't that counterintuitive to us getting the TS first? Do you think they would have kept that to themselves and released this?
Not necessarily, because it's not anything special. It's not a special car. It's not a full STI. It's a WRX with a digital display and some bigger brakes and some seats, some blue dyed seats.
And the other thing is,
I don't think it's a special enough car for them to be like, hey, we're not going to give this to you first, or we are going to give this to you first.
Yeah,
it's just a WRX with other packages.
Well, and we don't know what the sales numbers are. I mean, they released the WRX sales, but it's all the different trims together. They don't break it out. I mean, the other telltale sign would be if nobody's buying the TSs, then maybe they gave it to us first, but if nobody's buying them, it doesn't matter that it landed here first. I would hope that some people are, but based on the price point and like the fact that it is not quite as special as it could be or maybe should have been, I don't know.
You can get a TS starting at an outstanding value of $47,705.
Outstanding.
Outstanding.
I love how they put that on the website. It's an outstanding value.
Yeah. Well, and I mean, if they came out with an STI, an actual STI that was special, that had more power, but it was that $55,000 price point, I mean, I think that it would have to really bring the performance. We've talked about this. I don't know that we need to go down this road too much further.
I love this road.
Is there really a demand to fill that gap, and really connect with enthusiasts?
Yeah.
Yeah,
it's just got to be done right, and it's got to be. Yeah. I think that $55,000. It's going to have to be, it's going to have to be a significant step up from the WRX. Yeah. So 350 at a minimum. It's got to have a proper 6-speed, not a split case. You know, it's got to.
I don't think they can do that.
I absolutely
I'm looking at these starting sales numbers for this stuff, and it's a $8,000 difference from a top trim WRX to this hypothetical STI if they were to do all this.
But can you argue that those prices have been artificially inflated? Nobody ever lowers their prices. So during the pandemic, they got bumped up and they just stayed there. Even now, if they can manufacture them at a lower price, they're
already hitting a ceiling with depreciating sales figures. you have to take a step back at some point and be like, all right, maybe we should take a break for a year or two, revisit everything, come back out. Even if Subaru discontinued the WRX, we'll not even say discontinue, we'll say take a break for 1 to 2 years, stop all sales of selling them entirely, revamp everything, and then come out with a new WRX and STI. Even if they came up that price point to $55,000, I think from a consumer perspective, it would help sell the cars more because people aren't looking at a year-over-year hike in price. And then when an STI finally does drop as 55 to 60,000, I think that it's going to be a lot better for them and an easier transition to bring that car back into the market if they take a break.
I think the Concept B is different enough from the current WRX to where it's not going to matter. Plus, it's a parts bin car. Therefore, that's how I think they can pull it off. I think I
still think they're going to be like, okay, I'm curious at, we'll say low end, 55,000 plus taxes. We'll say 6% on that divided by 72 months is the average loan. That's $1,200 a month for the average person to buy that. Who's spending $1,200 a month on a Subaru for 6 years? I just don't. I don't see it.
So, and I think this Subaru has to have a vision. Well, okay. So let me say it this way. There's a difference between hoping that you have a good car and knowing that you have a good car and hoping that you can communicate what you've got to the enthusiasts. And I think too much of late, Subaru has not really known that they've had the good car. They've hoped that they had a good car, and then they release it, and then like hopefully people can figure something out. And to a certain extent, they've been in the past reasonably reliant on the aftermarket to take the car from kind of like, decent ho-hum performance to like elevate the level of performance. They've not been willing to go in there themselves.
Make the car cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So like,
this is where they're not giving enthusiasts enough credit, and they're not giving aftermarket parts manufacturers enough credit, in my opinion. I think Subaru needs to work closer hand in hand with companies that are creating the cool factor for these cars.
I agree.
And this is also, we could go deeper into the WRX versus STI conversation, because I am glad that we're getting a base model WRX where you can upgrade virtually everything. And then when you release, let's say, a $60,000 STI, if it has 6 spots, like, you're realistically not upgrading your brake system anytime soon. If it has a 6-speed manual transmission, you're not really upgrading any of that. If it's got 350 under the hood and all the upgrades that we may get from the racing prototype, then there's not a whole lot to upgrade. So the aftermarket actually suffers a little bit. So I think a balance of all of this and then having Subaru in tune with what we're doing makes for a nice world for everyone. It's a win-win, and it existed. It existed
Subaru
before.
Doesn't, on the flip side, Subaru doesn't like when we modify their cars. I have so many friends that work at Subaru with people trying to take advantage of warranty programs because they modify their cars. They don't know what they're doing. They blow them up. They try to revert it to stock, not knowing that there's marks on the ECU that show the car was tuned. They go back to Subaru. They try to lie to get their warranty covered. Subaru doesn't love the fact that people modify these cars because then they try to take advantage of Subaru after the fact.
There is a double-edged sword with this, because I totally agree. If you look at the newest models and people modifying those and all the headache that it brings for Subaru, that exists. But simultaneously, you go back 5 years and before that, and all those models are a positive for Subaru to get forward-facing with actual buyers of their cars. So, Subi Events is a great example. That show brings together, those events bring together between, let's call it, 3,000 to 7,000 per event. So over a season, you're getting like 80,000 enthusiasts talking about these cars, taking pictures of them, putting videos out there. And that's just a small subset of the Subaru enthusiast market worldwide. So we're actually doing a really significant thing for growing the Subaru brand.
For sure.
Leading to sales, hopefully, of brand new cars.
We also forget in 2006, again, showing my age, and that was a while ago now, but in 2006, they released something called the WRX TR. And what that was, TR actually stood for, and they made sure to talk about it, tuner ready.
Tuner ready, yep.
That's what it was, and it was a very base model. And it was, I think Subaru could do themselves a favor.
It was the cheapest and the lightest.
Subaru could totally do themselves a favor if they literally released really good cars and then said, you guys can go screw with these. There is no warranty, but we can make it cheaper because there is no warranty.
Yeah. So, I guarantee you people would buy those.
Dude,
so here's the question, though. But that is the thing is, so if you look at the WRX sales numbers, they've been really flat for like the last 5 years. Like there really has not been a needle that's moved. If anything, it's just gone down in 2025. And I think that is shaping Subaru's vision for initially what the market is. And it's kind of like, well, like if you're a fast food place and you make a bad hamburger and nobody's ordering your hamburgers, do people hate hamburgers, or is it you're just not giving them the product that they actually want? And then this is kind of where the root of my question is like if Subaru would take the whole performance level up a notch, like between the BRZ and the WRX, and bring back the STI, but bring it up a notch, would it even be possible for them to say like sell 10,000 STIs in a year versus like 1 to 2 to 3,000 STIs a year? Because if the sales numbers are there, then that would justify them developing the car. And I think right now they think that the sales numbers are not there.
There's a chicken before the egg situation.
Yeah.
I want to throw Tanner a bone here, and I'm going to propose this. Let's say we got the VB WRX, okay?
Okay.
And it had port injection. That's the only change.
I'd buy it.
Would we be having the same conversation right now? Because I think the aftermarket would have grabbed onto that like hell and went nuts.
I 100% think if they just put Toyota's D4S on there, it would be a vast. I've owned 2 VBWXs. I sold both of them because you get to a point when modifying them where you hit this cap where it's like, I need port injection if I want to go any further.
And it gets real expensive.
For those that don't understand how expensive port injection is, there is one ECU choice currently to be able to control port injection on these cars, and it is a Motec M150 or whatever the submodel may be that you want. When it comes to buying Motecs, it's not just the ECU. You also have to pay the licensing software. So you're spending $5,000 to $7,000 on hardware, plus an additional $2,000 to $3,000 on software. This is just to have an ECU that can control the port and direct injection. Yeah. This is not including direct injectors, port injectors, low pressure fuel pump, high pressure fuel pump, fuel lines, intake manifold, fuel rails, and then transmission, everything else.
Minimum.
If they just had an ECU in there that could control port injection and direct injection, I would love the car. I would not care. I would swap an STI 6-speed into it. That's not that hard to do in these cars. But the fact that the barrier of entry into getting past that fuel limitation in the car is so vastly expensive, if Subaru would have incorporated that, I guarantee you Cobb would have jumped on that and it would have been able to be controlled with an access port.
Here's a question. Do you think this is a deliberate move by Subaru to not give it to us so that we are capped in power?
No, I think it's Toyota.
It's because it is Toyota's system. I truly think it's Toyota using that leverage against Subaru and saying you can't have this system.
So maybe
I'm sure Subaru could figure it out if they thought that it was going to be this much of a game changer. And I would not be at all surprised if it is a complete blind spot to them, especially going back for a while, because people were not playing with the FA20 WRXs nearly as much until the very end, in part because it was so different. There just wasn't parts available.
Yeah,
there's a lot of unknowns.
Well, I mean, power aside, you still get the added benefits of having port. You would not have to walnut blast your engine. You would not have to worry about carbon buildup on the valve seat. You will probably get slightly better fuel economy as well when you get the transition from direct to port injection when you need it. So there's so many other benefits to it aside from just the power figure.
Agree.
And I know so many FA owners
entirely
that
on
never.
An enthusiast standpoint, though, and I agree. I think we'd be talking about this drastically different. Okay, and I think we as the aftermarket would have closed that gap, and and it's just this one little change. And I mean, we have already figured out, because it's already out there that if it, just like Tanner said, if you don't have port injection, you're not able to make big power. But like we actually have aftermarket injectors now that can create big power, big-ish power, at least on the FA20.
Bigger.
FA20 was rough, but to give you a little more overhead, and it's not that much more. Way more than what you can deal with.
Those injectors and high-pressure fuel pump, the Nordstrom stuff, it's so expensive, too.
Well, it's gonna be. That's new tech. I'm sure.
Yeah.
Again, when we're talking about dudes modding their cars in the 60s, the biggest reason they didn't want to mess with fuel injection was because they could buy a Holly 4-barrel for $300 and do the same thing. You know what I'm saying? So it's
and they knew how to use it.
You could just get an EJ and spend $600 on injectors.
You could just get a small block Chevy and throw it in the old.
Yeah. I'm just saying. People think I hate VBWXs. I don't. I like them. It's just that I don't.
He does.
It's this one limiting factor that keeps me from doing anything with them because I personally don't want to spend $12,000 to $15,000.
One point I want to make before you go on, John. Yeah. I want to step outside of our enthusiast bubble. I agree with everything you guys are saying. In a perfect enthusiast world, I'd love it too. But stepping outside of it, we just made a point that Subaru is worried about people modifying their cars and then bringing them in for warranty and having to pay for all that. So this is a ceiling that maybe they've created, whether deliberately or not. The ceiling that they've created for us to be stuck at 400 horsepower and not be able to go beyond actually benefits them because the warranty claims don't.
Because as soon as you tune it, it marks the ECU.
Selling cars. We don't think it's cool, so then other people don't think it's cool, so then they don't buy the damn car.
But the more damaging thing is to see out in the ether thousands of blown up engines and then get that affiliation just the same way that Subaru used to have with blown head gaskets for like 20 years, even after they solved the head gasket issue. Anytime I talk to a normie and I said, yeah, I drive a Subaru, they go, oh, your head gaskets are probably going, aren't they?
You, man.
So if a bunch of VBs start blowing up because people were tuning them to 600 horsepower, we'd never hear the end of it for the next decade that those cars suck on their platforms.
STIs sold like hotcakes. And they blew up all the damn time. Ringland failure, bearing failures, they had all of the issues that we all complain about. But if you go look online, you can see VA STIs making boatloads of freaking horsepower, and it just seems cool. It's worth the bullshit. And people will look past that and just go buy the damn car because they want to be cool. They have lost their cool factor.
So here's the question. What percentage of owners, or what percentage of customers would look at the STI, know that they want to make 400 or 500 horsepower, buy the car, and actually do it? Like, do you think it is 10%?
You're looking at this all wrong, man.
Less than 10%?
Maybe less than 5% would go in there going, I know I want to make 500 horsepower with this. The rest of the 95% would go, that's cool because the internet told me it was cool.
Well,
people also don't realize how expensive it is. Dewey, you and I have talked about this before. I will send somebody. They will bring me a stock car. They say, "Hey, I want 500-600 horsepower." Cool, $35,000 is what you're looking at for parts and labor, machining. I'm like, you could go buy a stock. There's other factory cars that just make that power straight out of the box. I'm like, go buy something else if you don't want
that is exactly my point, and this is where I'm coming from. Like, I think Subaru needs to elevate the level of performance because the number of people that look at what the car is, they drive it, they experience it for what it is and for the price point. The number of people that are willing to like look at it outside the box and go like, well, I could do X, Y, and Z and turn it into the thing that I want is somewhat small. If from the factory it would come in at a higher level.
They would have bridged that gap. If they had enough nut jobs on Instagram going, I'm making 600 horsepower. You know, how many RA blocks is Subaru sold because there's morons over all over the place thinking they can make
you have no idea how many of those I've bought.
Oh my God. They had made a mint on that because a couple of the right people out there hit the algorithm just the right way, and now people think the RA block is some indestructible beast. So, like, they would have bridged that. Yeah, this thing only makes 270 horsepower, but if I buy this, there's this pathway to make 600, even if it's 600 for 2 poles. They think it's there. And there's enough of us out there saying this is cool that it wouldn't have mattered what the base of it is. Like, there would have been that, like, sleeper factor to it. People would have picked it up. But if all you need is VBWRX is being shown on that racing channel, taking out whatever random Camaro there is, and people would have got hyped about it and they would have picked it up. But it has lost that cool factor because they can't even modified right now, go take out a ZR1 or whatever.
Well, sure. Well, all right. So put yourself in the shoes of the CEO of Subaru and think about these two possible scenarios. One being, okay, the STI comes back and Tanner, it's exactly what you said. It's $55,000, 325 horsepower, and you see the sales number be really low or like go down. What does that tell you about what the market is?
I personally would
versus...
send the team out there to just go, redesign it, make it look better, fix all this stuff.
I'm trying to get you to read the tea leaves here. So, but the other possibility is like, what if they bring the SA back and it is 400 horsepower and it's $55,000, and all of a sudden, they literally cannot build these things fast enough. What if all of a sudden they have to look at like, wait, we need to slow down Forester production because we need to make more STIs because we literally, like, there's a 3-month backlog. People are ordering these, they're waiting 3 months, 6 months to get the car in because the demand is so high.
I've got a weird answer for this.
That would change the way that you would think about designing and producing and marketing these cars based on what you're seeing with the demand, I think.
My kind of weird answer for this is I don't think it matters one way or the other. I think if and when the Concept B gets released, that is going to be the only generation of that. So historically, if we go back, they'll take whatever generation of the STI, the GD, and then for the GR, they'll say, okay, this did well, this didn't do well, people really like this, so they try and give you as much value add to the next model. And usually that's how it goes. And 6 models in, it gets better and better and better. This one to me just feels like it's one and done. They're going to release this, whether it does poorly or it's a huge hit, the next STI is going to be that Concept E, a whole different platform. I do not think they're going to do a second generation of the Performance-B and then a third one and continue that. I think this is it.
They haven't even done a second generation of the VB. They haven't even done a facelift on this thing.
I don't agree with you. I think it's going to depend on how whatever they call the Concept B, okay? So however the Concept B, if and when it comes to market, and the current climate of the future, because right now the world is cooling on electric, big time. Okay,
that's true.
I could see us getting multiple generations, especially if A, enthusiasts grab onto this, and B, people are racing them, and that like there's demand for a new generation. I could see it. If the demand's there, they're gonna build it.
But Dewey, by the time this gets released, how old is the original Impreza Crosstrek chassis that it's based off of?
Sure.
It's going to be 8 years old at that point,
but
and they're going to have to do something.
One thing Subaru can do is build a hell of a chassis. And I don't even want to, like, look at Porsche. Porsche's been using the same chassis in their, like, Boxster and Cayman for, like, a million years. And, well, chassis is not as old as you think. You could do an easy facelift on that, headlights, bumper, whatever, and people would be hyped about it. I mean, hell, look at Nissan. The current 400Z is a 370Z. Let's just be real.
Yeah.
But I mean, look at Subaru's history. They don't keep the same chassis for more than 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, but now they're on a global chassis, so things have changed.
Yeah.
Things have changed too, and you say that, but I mean, the VA was around for a damn long time. The GC was around for a damn long time.
Was it? The VA was only around for 6 years.
That's what I'm saying. It's a 5 to like 7 year gap for every chassis. They recycle them, and I just cannot see a 22 or in 2028, let's say a Concept B getting released, having a 3-year run, and then the successor is still off that platform. It would have to be redesigned again. And to me, they just leapfrog into the E concept or whatever.
And the other factor that's coming in is like in Europe, like if they wait until 2028 to bring back this SCA concept, it's probably not going to be for the European market. We don't know what the environment is going to be in the US. I mean, I would hope that the combustion would still be there. Like the
they're
safer long-term
performance
play
cars for Europe also already. Type R's, all this other stuff. Yeah, didn't they cancel the BRZ for Europe also?
I don't think Europe ever got the BRZ, but they did get the Toyota. They had the GT86, GR86. But so like the safer long-term play is the EV for the world's markets, because like what's going on here, if this continues, we might be the last place where there's a big market for combustion engines, and there's been a lot of change that's been happening, and so it's hard to know like what in the next 3 years, 6 years, 8 years, what the environment is going to be, because we were moving in one direction, now we're going a different direction. Could it snap back? Car manufacturers, it's hard to plan that far ahead.
That's why
it's hard to put the development. Exactly. This is what I was going to say. Is
Yep.
it's hard to put in the time and development cost into creating something proprietary and new, because that takes years and hundreds of millions of dollars.
Yeah.
And do a parts bin car to fill the gap.
Okay, so we've been going for a little while. We wanted to try and keep this to an hour, so I'm going to try and like rein us in here.
Okay.
We've just talked about all of this, and we now know what has come out of the Tokyo Auto Salon. We've now seen what they're doing with the GT300. We've seen what they're doing with this twin-turbo 6-cylinder engine. We've seen what they're doing with the Taikyu car. The fact that it's running an F824. It's got this crinkle red STI pairing manifold. And we've seen the STI Performance-B and Performance-E concepts. So if you're in charge of Subaru, what do you do like with these kind of like toys or the pieces of the puzzle that you can put together? What do you do, and how soon do you do it?
I think they got to get the B out as fast as humanly possible. Like they need it, and if I were in charge of Subaru right now and I care about enthusiasts, I would be trying to do as much low-key hype on this Taikyu thing as you possibly can. Like,
would they have to kill off the WRX for that then?
I think they should. Personally, I think
would it matter?
Just kill the
would
kill
it
the
even
BB
matter?
and
Let's be
bring in
real.
the
In the bottom,
B?
does it even matter? Like they could
the question.
They could sell 1 year of this car in Japan, and nobody.
Well, theoretically, because it's on the global chassis, they could literally make it into the hatchback sides and roof and whatnot, but it'd be the same floor. It's already the engine, so like what you could have, like you could stop the WRX at some point and switch to this platform.
So
and
they
really
kill off
just
the
retool
BB and then
everything.
bring out the next chassis code.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not have to retool shit. Like me personally, if it were me running this thing, I would be trying to do a bunch of guerrilla low-key marketing with this Super Taikyu thing, trying to like leak stuff, and try to get a really big hype built around it and get this concept B it into production as soon as humanly possible. The second you feel that this thing is a functioning thing, like start hyping it. And that needs to be a world platform, because just as Art said, you don't have very long with this chassis.
Yeah. No, and I don't disagree with you that they need to do it as fast as possible. The thing that worries me in that realm is it seems like they're using the Taikyu car as a testbed for the engine platform, so they're going to have to at least run it throughout the entirety of the season to prove it.
Stuff with it. You're in a constant state of keeping people like excited about what's going on with that program, but it can't look like it's coming from Subaru. It's got to look like it's being leaked, and so they get like Road and Track and all these guys to like they leak it, you know what I mean? And they need to keep people amped up about this. Is this
I still think their biggest hurdle is going to be price on it. I still think it's going to be price.
But I think if they can, again, I think the breaking point, and I think we all agreed on this last time, is about 55.
I honestly think they should just dumb it down. Go back to VA WRX style stuff. Give me buttons, knobs, get rid of the head unit, basic head unit.
That'd be sick.
Numb it down so it's cheaper to produce.
But I think the touchscreen bullshit that we could do without isn't even the high cost. The high cost is the back end development for, let's say, a proprietary 6-speed transmission.
They have everything.
I'm agreeing with you in that regard. Like, I think they are using the mentality of keep it cheap by using the stuff that they have. Because if they would have shown this,
cloth seats, cloth door cards. We don't need leather.
I'm with you.
Stripped
no
interior,
sunroof. Make it cheap.
Parts bin car. Like, it's a parts bin car. The only thing they're putting real development in that's different is the engine, because the trans already exists. The diff already exists. All this stuff exists.
Yeah.
Like, all of the
give two trim levels, give a base and a limited like they used to.
Yeah.
That's it.
And the base needs base.
John, to kind of go back to your probably closing conversation, is I and Dewey at least agree that they should speed it into production as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
We all agree they should hit that 55 or below price point if possible. And if they do, then I think they could really take back the enthusiast market that they're losing grip on. Or at least disconnecting further and further every year from by not releasing an STI for the US market.
Power figure is going to be the other big one that makes it or breaks it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I agree.
I think what they have to do is that they have to release it at the power level that like say 20% would take a VB2, like whatever you could do with a stock car with the reflash, like let's call it like 350 to 375, and have it be that $55,000 price point with that body, STI drivetrain.
Hold up.
Yeah.
Let me 350 to 375.
Yeah.
Boys, let's not
You're
get
not
into power
getting that
figures.
off a reflash. Wait,
No, but
you're still under or right at like 300.
You are getting that off of bolt-ons. Okay, you're getting that off.
And we don't know what bolt-ons are going to be
with
on this test bed engine.
Hold up. I think I'm the only one here who's owned a VB, modified it, and tuned it. You are not getting that type of power off of just basic bolt-ons and a tune.
Do I need to bring Grandma here to prove you wrong?
You are talking front mount. You're talking intake. You're talking so much other stuff. Subaru's not going to give you a big front mount in there, a bigger intake that's not carb compliant, all this other stuff.
Well, so all right,
but this is also Subaru. They can figure this out.
I'm just saying. I think we'd be lucky from Subaru to see 315.
Okay.
I think they come out with something that's 320. That's a home run for them.
I'm thinking of our 24 project car on the dyno, and granted, as I'm saying this, I'm realizing this was when we did the flex fuel. So this is just the Cobb off-the-shelf flex fuel map. It made like 265 wheel horsepower, but factoring in the 70 horsepower losses for drivetrain, I mean that means we were like at 335 at the flywheel. Just with the off-the-shelf map, 100% stock engine, stock exhaust, stock everything. So I mean it's that's what.
That's why I'm saying that 375, 385. Well, that was a big stretch. I think with a
slightly larger turbo, a larger intercooler, and redesigned intake.
That intercooler is already huge from Subaru.
I'm telling you, man, it ain't gonna be hard for them to do that.
If they wanted to do it, they certainly could, and they're obviously doing something like that on the Taikyu car. Mm-hmm. So if that's what they're testing and that's what they're vetting, and they're probably changing the cams. I mean, we don't know what's different, but it could be a little bit, it could be a lot. They're obviously running it, they're testing it, but I think if they do that and then they come out with that, it's again 100%. It's got to be as fast as possible. I think it's got to be a 27 model, and you've got to start teasing it at like May, June this year. And they could be running the whole series of Super Taikyu and developing the engine, and then like as long as it's small tweaks, like they could get it certified and have it out as a 27 model year. But it's like I think if you wait longer than it being a 27 model year and available in 27, you're going to miss the mark. Too much is going to change between now and then it's like if you're not going to come out in as a 27 model, I don't think you've got time to do it.
They need to haul ass, that's for sure.
When did Subaru release the VA STI concept car? What year was it?
2014.
Was it?
Yeah. It was blue, and they made a mistake, and they actually made the front bumper too close to the wheel, and there wasn't actually room for an engine. And we were actually looking at this yesterday because we looked at it, we did the measurements, and we said, the next STI is going to be rear-wheel drive because you can't put the engine in the drivetrain in front of the front axle. And they're like, no, it's just a concept. It actually is all-wheel drive. So,
was it January 13th, 2014 is what I'm seeing?
Something like that.
It? And then they
because it had the highlighter. It had the highlighter yellow brakes too.
Mm.
Yep.
Wait, what? The 2015? Oh no, the
2014 concept.
Yeah, the concept.
This is not the Visive. This it's one.
My mind went to the production car. I was like, wait a minute.
Yeah, no. So basically, like in theory, like let's call it like who knows how long the development was, but it was probably a year to 18 months from like the concept to actually it was available. It was about that time.
Well, they debuted it at the Detroit Auto Show in 2014. That's odd. Is that not odd for them to release a STI concept car at the Detroit Auto Show?
It was
not
probably
because
just
of how
the
big
biggest
the US
auto
market
show that
is.
was going on at the time.
They probably have to time it.
I mean, if their plan is to come out with this thing, I think that you'll probably see it this year.
Yeah, I agree.
We'd have to.
Based off of this from historical stuff that Subaru has done.
Well, and to Art's point from before we got started is we need the biggest telltale sign is going to be, do they bring either or both of these STI performance concepts over to any of the big U.S. auto shows?
Yeah, which is what's the next one coming up? There's like LA auto show.
I thought LA was early.
Far out either.
Which one?
Chicago is
Chicago.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So it's if we see them or not, and if we see one or the other or not, I think that's going to be a big telltale sign in the next like 3 to 4 months as far as which direction Subaru's thinking.
Chicago's February 7th.
Detroit is next week.
Yeah.
Ooh, they could have it there by then.
I think between Detroit and Chicago, I mean, those are both big. Detroit is very large.
Yeah.
That's if neither one of the concepts are there, that's going to be very telling.
It's probably true.
I mean, to me, looking past that into Subi event season, if the Subi event staff managed to get the Concept B because Subaru wants to start drip feeding it into the enthusiast market,
that's the way to do it.
That would be the way to do it. And I mean, if we show up at Wicked Big Meat in June or whatever, and it's there, then that tells me everything that car will be released.
But that's going to be the difference between Subaru Japan and Subaru USA too.
That time frame's about right though.
Well, yeah, and that's what I'm saying is if they do bring it stateside, then we'll know this is going to be a US offer.
Hypothetically, let's say this car gets released, it comes to the States. Would you guys buy one at $55,000?
Yes.
As a for development vehicle, absolutely. If I was disconnected,
no, I'm not talking development. I'm talking you personally as a person.
I want it.
Yes, I would say at this point in my life, I'm getting closer to my 40s. I'm starting to sell off some of my project cars.
Wait, you're not 25?
I know I look it, but
oh man,
I'm getting closer to my more expensive. Like I've never bought a brand new vehicle; it's all been used. And I would honestly say that if I knew the Concept B was coming in a year and a half, I would take that time to downsize everything I've got, and that would be my very first brand new vehicle purchase.
Would you keep a warranty on it?
For about 6 months, probably.
Probably about 3 months. I would purchase
as soon as an access port drops for it. I'm out. That warranty's gone.
You're exactly right. But I mean, look, you were talking about earlier how much of a monthly payment you would have, $1,200 or whatever. But as like a 40, 50-year-old guy that steps in, you'd probably put maybe 20 grand down.
Well, that was for like the average person. Average, right. Like with no money down, after tax, title, license, interest. That's what it'd be.
The way I think of it is the enthusiast that can afford to be in an STI probably already had something decent. Maybe you do have a Corolla GR, or maybe you have a VB, so you sell that and you get your 20 grand.
Man, as car enthusiasts, we are very irrational people, Art. We are not rational people.
Level. These are all, I'm very dumb. I would go in there and probably just outright I'm stupid. At 43%.
The thing
Give it to me now.
Yeah, 43%. I mean, honestly, like it's not even if it's 400 horsepower, unless it's a really modern drivetrain, I'm not interested because it's not different enough compared to the WRX that I have, and that's the challenge that they have. That there's so many people when we did the couple of episodes ago about the EV possibilities. Mm-hmm. So many people are like, I love my car. I've had it for 15 years. I'm not getting anything newer because nothing is better than what I have already.
Yep.
And that's there again, like this is where I think why Subaru, if they need to just elevate the whole performance level of everything, because so many of us have had our cars for 3, 5, 7, 10 years, gone through all of this once. Like, boy, I don't even want to say this. I'll be 50 this year, and I don't think I want to go through another 10-year process of developing a car. I really kind of want to just get the thing that is what I want it to be. That's much more appealing to me, which is where, like, if it comes in at a higher level, I think that it taps into a different market than Subaru has been wanting to tap into, and they need to make it good enough that all of us that have these cars for 3, 5, 7, 10 years, that we've done all of this stuff too, this next one is so much better that it doesn't matter what that car is. Like, this one is so much better, I have to have this. That's the motivation, Art, to like clear out the garage so that I can get this new thing.
When I have optimism that they are doing that from one simple move, and that is making it a hatchback, because that to me is a nod of like, hey, get rid of your 5 other cars because this one's going to do all of it.
Yeah.
Because even if you love your VB, at the end of the day, it's still a sedan, and you're limited in what you could do with it.
Are you though? Because the seats fold down, and cubic feet wise, you got about the same between them. It's the same chassis.
I can't throw my trail bike in there. Like, okay, you could slide a snowboard in, but then you don't have room for anything
else. I don't think you're
like,
fitting a trail bike in a hatchback like that. I think you're still going to need a trailer hitch or a roof rack.
Works on my SG Forester, the greatest generation ever made.
That's not really a hatchback, man.
Sure it is.
That's a toaster.
Hater.
It is a toaster.
That's got way more room.
Yeah, something about it. Maybe it's just an internal feeling that they are trying to. They have listened to people like yourself, and they're taking these cues and they're going, what is the best well-rounded chassis vehicle with everything that's in it that we can give people that they can justify spending 55 plus maybe to own this vehicle and own it for a decade.
Yeah. All right. Well, so as we're approaching in here, if you're still listening at this point, first, thank you for your support. Let us know in the comments what you think all this stuff from the Tokyo Auto Salon means. What are you excited about? What is it the fact that we got the STI first? Is it the fact that the Super Taikyu car is the Performance-B concept? Is it this crazy twin turbo H6 engine that's going in the BRZ? Are you excited about that most? And then what do you think Subaru needs to do with all of these pieces or any of these pieces of the puzzle to bring over here? So let us know in the comments below. Dewey, Tanner, Art, thank you guys so much for making the time and coming on to chat again. I'm so glad that the internet worked this time.
It did.
So nice.
Yeah, you got no wind over there today.
I'm hard connected. That's why I'm sitting at my desk. So that nothing to chance today. So,
guys, look at this glow up from 25 to 26. We've got internet that isn't dial up. John's settled. Dewey had a minor issue, but got it sorted. So
back.
Yeah.
It all worked. Nobody
We're
was
off
injured.
to a good start.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, really looking forward to what 2026 has on offer. And man, I think I'm fingers crossed, hoping that we're going to see some good and exciting news here really soon in the next couple of months. Maybe mainly from Subaru, but maybe even some other manufacturers. Yeah. Cool. Well, thank you guys again, and thanks to you at home. And until next time, stay tuned with Flatirons Tuning.
Thanks everyone for tuning in to the Flatiron Syndicate Motorsports Podcast. Once again, we'd like to let you know that your support is what makes this show possible. Be sure to check out our online store at flatironstuning.com for any of your aftermarket or OEM Subaru parts needs. And as always, stay tuned with Flatirons Tuning.